Chosen one, someone's world is imploding at this very moment, not metaphorically, literally collapsing under the weight of confessions that started as a whisper and are now becoming a scream that echoes through courthouse corridors and police stations. The person who stood in that witness box and painted you as dangerous, unstable, unfit, their voice is now cracking under interrogation lights, admitting to crimes that will make your spine tingle with vindication and your soul burn with righteous fury. But what they're confessing to isn't what you think. What's pouring from their trembling lips reaches deeper into your bloodline than you ever imagined possible, stretching back to family secrets that were buried before you were born and forward to futures that were stolen before you knew they existed. The detective conducting this interrogation asked a question that made your false accuser's face drain of all color. The question wasn't about the lie they told in court. It wasn't about the money they received. It wasn't about the coaching they received before testifying. The question was about the photographs. Photographs that prove they were in places they swore under oath they'd never been, with people they claimed never to have met, holding evidence that contradicts every word of their sworn testimony. Your false accuser is staring at these photographs right now, and their lawyer is frantically scribbling notes because they're realizing their client isn't just guilty of perjury, they're guilty of conspiracy to commit fraud on a scale that transforms this from a family dispute into a federal investigation that's about to destroy lives, reputations, and bank accounts across multiple states. The mastermind orchestrating your destruction made one catastrophic error. They trusted a narcissist to execute their plan. Narcissists can't resist documenting their cleverness, can't help but preserve evidence of their superiority, can't stop themselves from keeping trophies of their victories. Every meeting, every payment, every strategy session was recorded because your enemy wanted to admire their own brilliance. Those recordings are now evidence that will send them to prison for decades. But while that confession unfolds in one interrogation room, something even more explosive is happening down the hall. The person who handled the financial transactions, the one who moved money from hidden accounts to purchase false testimony, just discovered that every electronic transfer they made was monitored by banking authorities who've been building a case that extends far beyond your situation. Federal investigators have been tracking unusual financial patterns for months, following money that flows from estate accounts into the pockets of people who later appear as witnesses in inheritance disputes. Your case wasn't their target, it was their confirmation that a systematic network exists to steal inheritance through manufactured testimony and fabricated evidence. The banking investigator slid a folder across the table that contains transaction records spanning decades. Every bribe paid to destroy potential heirs, every payment made to create false witnesses, every transfer designed to fund character assassination campaigns. Your enemy's financial crimes aren't limited to your case. They're part of a criminal enterprise that has stolen millions from rightful heirs across the country. Your false accuser just broke completely. Not crying broken, confessing everything broken. The dam burst when they realized the photographs proved they were present during planning meetings they swore never happened. They're now admitting that the testimony against you was rehearsed, scripted, and performed for money. But more than that, they're revealing the existence of a manual, a literal instruction guide for creating believable false testimony against inheritance beneficiaries. The investigator's hand freezes as they realize what they're hearing. This manual wasn't just theoretical, it was field-tested on your own bloodline. Your false accuser is describing how previous family members were systematically eliminated from inheritance consideration using identical tactics, the same lies, the same manufactured evidence, the same network of purchased witnesses. Your family member has been perfecting this system for generations, and you were never their first victim. But here's what's making the seasoned detective's stomach turn. The manual includes detailed psychological profiles of each family member, complete with their greatest fears, their deepest insecurities, and their most vulnerable pressure points. Your destroyer didn't just attack your reputation randomly. They studied you like a laboratory specimen, identifying exactly which lies would be most damaging to your specific personality type and social connections. The profile created about you sits in a folder alongside similar psychological assessments of other family members who were deemed threats to your family members' control over resources. Each profile contains strategies for triggering mental health crises, recommendations for isolating the target from support systems, and detailed plans for making their destruction appear like natural consequences of their own poor choices, rather than systematic sabotage. This manual contains psychological profiles explaining how to identify the most damaging lies to tell about specific personality types. It includes coaching techniques for appearing credible under cross-examination. It provides sample testimonies that have successfully discredited previous victims. Your destruction wasn't personal, it was professional, systematic and refined through practice on other chosen ones who came before you. The investigator handling your case received a phone call that made them immediately cancel their evening plans. Another detective in another state arrested someone carrying identical documents. The network that destroyed you has been operating across state lines, perfecting their methods by practicing on families they assumed were too isolated or too proud to coordinate with other victims. But coordination is exactly what's happening right now. Law enforcement agencies are sharing information that reveals your case as part of a pattern spanning multiple jurisdictions. The conspiracy that targeted you is crumbling, not because one person broke, but because dozens of people across multiple states are simultaneously confessing to identical crimes performed against different families. Your family member, the architect of your destruction, is currently celebrating what they believe is their complete victory over you. They have no idea that bank investigators froze their account 17 minutes ago. They don't know that search warrants are being executed at their properties as they sip wine and gloat about your downfall. They're completely unaware that everyone they trusted with pieces of their conspiracy has been arrested or is actively cooperating with authorities. The person who lied about you in court just revealed something that will make you question every interaction you've ever had with your family. They weren't the only planted witness. Multiple people in your life, people you considered neutral parties, people you trusted to be objective, were approached, compromised and converted into weapons against your reputation. That family friend who expressed concern about your behavior paid to express those concerns. That former colleague who reluctantly agreed to share negative observations about your character compensated for their reluctance. That neighbor who witnessed concerning incidents that never actually occurred, recruited specifically because their proximity to you would make their testimony seem spontaneous rather than orchestrated. Your entire social environment was weaponized against you through careful recruitment of false witnesses who created an echo chamber of fabricated concerns about your stability, your judgment, your fitness to inherit anything or hold any position of responsibility within your family structure. But here's where divine justice reveals its perfect timing. Every recruited liar became their own undoing through paranoia and self-preservation. Text messages, bank records, recorded conversations, each false witness created an insurance policy against their handlers that became a roadmap for prosecutors hunting evidence of conspiracy. The detective interrogating your primary false accuser just opened a laptop that contains video files, not surveillance footage, recruitment footage, video recordings of meetings where false witnesses were trained to deliver believable testimony against you. Your family member insisted on recording these training sessions to ensure consistency among their purchased witnesses. Those same recordings now provide prosecutors with evidence of criminal conspiracy that includes faces, voices, and detailed discussions of criminal intent. Your false accuser is watching themselves on screen, participating in planning sessions where they practiced expressing concern about your mental stability. They're seeing themselves rehearse emotional displays designed to convince judges and juries that their testimony comes from genuine concern rather than financial motivation. They're watching evidence of their own criminal behavior, while realizing that everyone else in those videos is either already arrested or about to be. The federal prosecutor who entered this interrogation specializes in organized crime, not family disputes. They're treating your case as a RICO investigation because the evidence suggests a criminal enterprise designed to systematically steal inheritance through coordinated false testimony. Your family member isn't facing simple fraud charges. They're facing racketeering charges that carry sentences measured in decades, not years. But while criminal charges pile up against your enemies, something else is happening that will restore what was stolen and multiply what was lost. Civil attorneys are reviewing every decision made based on false testimony, every inheritance ruling that relied on manufactured evidence, every competency determination that was influenced by purchased lies, every legal proceeding that was contaminated by your enemy's criminal conspiracy. The civil liability alone will bankrupt everyone involved in your destruction. But more than financial compensation, these reversals will publicly vindicate your character and demonstrate to everyone who doubted you that their doubts were manufactured by criminals who profited from turning your family against you. Your false accuser confessed to something that explains every moment you felt isolated, excluded, or misunderstood within your own family. The lies about you weren't limited to official testimony. Casual character assassination was systematically spread through your family network to ensure that when official accusations were made, they would seem consistent with concerns that family members had already been conditioned to accept. The strategy was psychological warfare disguised as family concern. Your destroyer created fake emergencies that required your family members to make urgent decisions about your welfare without giving you opportunity to defend yourself. They fabricated crises that painted you as unreliable, unstable, or dangerous during moments when you weren't present to provide context or corrections. Holiday gatherings became psychological operations, where carefully timed revelations about your supposed misconduct were shared just as family members were establishing their impressions of your character for the coming season. Birthday celebrations included staged interventions where multiple family members expressed coordinated concerns about your behavior, creating the illusion of widespread worry about your mental state. But the most insidious element was the way they turned your own successes against you. Every achievement you earned was reframed as evidence of mania, grandiosity, or instability. Every opportunity you pursued was portrayed as reckless impulsivity that proved you couldn't be trusted with responsibility. They poisoned your victories by convincing your family that success was actually a symptom of mental illness. Your family member created detailed dossiers on each relative, documenting their personal fears, their financial vulnerabilities, and their emotional triggers. Some family members were approached with financial incentives to support negative narratives about you. Others were manipulated through fear that you posed a threat to family stability or safety. A few were simply lied to, so consistently that they began believing the fabricated version of your character was accurate. The most heartbreaking revelation is that some family members tried to defend you but were silenced through threats of receiving the same character assassination treatment. Your destroyer made examples of relatives who questioned their narratives, subjecting them to systematic campaigns of reputation destruction that served as warnings to others who might consider supporting you. The banking investigator discovered something that will make your head spin. The money used to fund your destruction came from accounts that legally belonged to you. Estate funds that should have been preserved for your benefit were secretly diverted to finance the very conspiracy designed to prevent you from accessing those funds. You were robbed to pay for your own destruction. But the financial web runs deeper than anyone imagined. Insurance policies were taken out on your life during periods when you were being portrayed as mentally unstable and potentially suicidal. Your family member wasn't just stealing your inheritance. They were positioning themselves to profit from your death, while simultaneously creating conditions designed to make that death appear self-inflicted rather than suspicious. Medical professionals were approached and compromised, just like the false witnesses. Therapists who never treated you provided written assessments suggesting you were a danger to yourself and others. Doctors who never examined you signed forms supporting claims about your mental incompetence. Your destroyer created an entire medical paper trail designed to justify removing your legal rights while building a foundation for insurance fraud that would profit from your demise. The insurance investigator who just joined this case brought files that make everyone in the room fall silent. Multiple policies purchased through different companies, all naming your family member as beneficiary, all purchased during periods when you were being most aggressively portrayed as unstable. The timing isn't coincidental, it's calculated, systematic preparation for financial benefit from your destruction, whether through inheritance theft or insurance fraud. The insurance component reveals calculated preparation for profit through tragedy. Policies purchased specifically during character assassination campaigns, timed to coincide with false narratives about self-harm potential. Financial instruments designed to benefit from either your legal destruction or your physical elimination. Your family member's attorney just arrived at the police station, only to discover that attorney-client privilege doesn't protect communications that include planning criminal activities. Recorded conversations between your family member and their legal counsel reveal discussions about manufacturing evidence, coaching false witnesses, and using legal proceedings to legitimize theft through character assassination. The attorney is now facing disbarment and criminal charges for participating in a conspiracy that violated every principle of legal ethics. Your family member's trusted advisor has become another cooperating witness whose testimony will expose additional layers of criminal planning that extend far beyond false testimony into systematic abuse of legal systems for personal enrichment. Your false accuser revealed the detail that will haunt your family member's nightmares: surveillance equipment, physical surveillance equipment that was installed in your living spaces, your vehicle, your workplace, hidden cameras and recording devices that captured thousands of hours of your private activities, searching for any behavior that could be taken out of context and used to support their fabricated narratives about your character. The surveillance wasn't passive observation, it was active manipulation designed to create compromising situations. Your family member used the monitoring to time their interventions perfectly, ensuring they could sabotage your relationships, your career opportunities, and your reputation at precisely the moments when you were building momentum toward independence or success. They knew when you had important meetings, so they could arrange for disruptions. They monitored your communications to intercept opportunities before you could capitalize on them. They tracked your social connections to identify which relationships needed to be poisoned through strategic character assassination. The surveillance gave them godlike knowledge of your life that they used to play puppet master with your destiny. But here's the divine irony that's about to destroy them completely. Every device they used to spy on you was networked and automatically uploaded data to cloud storage accounts that they forgot existed. Years of surveillance footage, including recordings of their own criminal planning sessions, has been preserved on servers that federal investigators are now accessing with search warrants. The IT forensics team recovered audio files that contain your family member's voice discussing contingency plans for your physical elimination if character assassination and inheritance theft proved insufficient to neutralize the threat you represented to their control. They weren't just planning to destroy your reputation, they were planning to destroy your life, and they recorded themselves discussing methods that would make your death appear accidental or self-inflicted. Cloud storage accounts automatically synchronized every illegal recording, creating permanent archives that investigators are now accessing through federal warrants. Years of criminal planning sessions exist in pristine digital format, time-stamped and location-tagged by the very devices used to spy on you. The federal prosecutor announced they're expanding this investigation into a task force operation because the evidence suggests interstate criminal activity involving multiple families, multiple inheritance disputes, and a network of corrupt attorneys, false witnesses, and financial facilitators who have been systematically stealing inheritance through manufactured legal proceedings. Your case isn't an isolated incident of family betrayal. It's the exposure of a criminal industry that has been operating in shadows for decades, stealing billions from rightful heirs through systematic character assassination and false testimony. Your survival of their assault becomes the key that unlocks justice for hundreds of other victims who thought their cases were hopeless. The person who destroyed your reputation is now providing investigators with names, addresses, and contact information for everyone involved in similar conspiracies against other families. Each name leads to new arrests. Each arrest reveals new victims. Each victim's case provides additional evidence that strengthens prosecutions against the entire network. Your vindication becomes a domino that starts an avalanche of justice cascading through courtrooms across the country, overturning fraudulent inheritances, restoring stolen assets, and sending criminals to prison for crimes they thought they'd committed perfectly. But while criminal justice unfolds, personal justice approaches with the unstoppable force of divine decree. Every family member who believed lies about you will discover they were manipulated by criminals. Every friend who distanced themselves based on manufactured concerns will realize they were deceived by professional character assassins. Every authority figure who questioned your credibility will understand they were victims of systematic fraud designed to turn your support network against you. The social isolation that felt like rejection will be revealed as manipulation. The financial struggles that seemed like personal failure will be exposed as sabotage. The legal defeats that appeared to confirm your unworthiness will be understood as victories for criminals who bought false testimony and manufactured evidence. Your false accuser just signed a written confession that includes details about photographic evidence that was digitally altered to support false narratives about your behavior. Images of you were manipulated to create apparent documentation of incidents that never occurred. Your own appearance was used as evidence against you through technological forgery that would have convinced any jury of your guilt for crimes that existed only in digital manipulation. The digital forgery operation was sophisticated beyond anything law enforcement expected to encounter in a family dispute. Professional-grade software was used to place your face into compromising situations, to alter timestamps on legitimate photographs to suggest you were places you never visited, and to create entirely fictional video footage that appeared to document concerning behavior patterns. But let's not sugarcoat it. The truth is still hidden. It's been twisted. It's been buried under censorship, algorithms, and fear. Yet your heart never stopped recognizing what's real. That's why you're still here. That's why you never tapped out. Because you felt the simulation glitch beneath your feet. You know this world is rigged, and you're done waiting for permission to rise. The Obsidian Inner Order wasn't built for the curious. It was forged for the committed. This is for the full-time chosen, the ones who came to lead, the ones who see beyond the veil and act anyway. Inside, we hold weekly Zoom calls that cut through the noise. We share hidden teachings most were never meant to hear. We train in psychic warfare, strategy, and spiritual technologies they've kept locked away for centuries. This is the toolkit for the real ones, the ungovernable, the impossible to erase. It's time to remember who you are. The link is in the description. Your real life begins inside. Ron Reist audio synthesis technology transformed legitimate conversations into fabricated confessions. Professional video editing software placed you in compromising scenarios that existed only in digital imagination. Social media manipulation created false online personas that posted concerning content attributed to your identity. The IT forensics team analyzing this evidence just discovered that the same technology was used to create false evidence against multiple victims across multiple cases. Your family member invested in sophisticated digital forgery capabilities that were used to manufacture convincing evidence of misconduct by various inheritance beneficiaries who threatened their financial interests. Email accounts were created in your name and used to send threatening or concerning messages to family members, creating evidence of harassment that could be used to support restraining orders or competency challenges. Online purchases were made using your identity to create apparent evidence of concerning interests or activities that supported their character assassination campaigns. But digital forgery creates permanent evidence trails that trace directly back to their creators. Hard drives contain creation timestamps, software licenses registered to specific users, and operational logs that document every fraudulent edit. The very sophistication of their deception became the sophistication of their downfall. Your family member learned that their primary co-conspirator has been wearing a wire for federal investigators for weeks. Every conversation they've had about covering up evidence, intimidating witnesses, or planning new crimes has been recorded by someone they trusted completely. Their most sensitive admissions of guilt were captured by the person they believed was most loyal to their criminal enterprise. The revelation that their trusted partner was actually a federal informant is causing a psychological breakdown that's making them confess to crimes investigators hadn't even discovered yet. Paranoia about who else might be recording them is leading to admissions about additional victims, other false testimony campaigns, and financial crimes that extend far beyond anything prosecutors originally suspected. But here's what will make you understand the cosmic scope of this justice. Your endurance through systematic character assassination has exposed a criminal network that was preparing to target other chosen ones in your generation. Plans were already in motion to destroy other family members who showed independence, integrity, or leadership potential that threatened established power structures. Your survival of their assault prevented others from experiencing similar destruction. Your maintenance of truth, despite their lies, protected future victims who were already being evaluated for character assassination campaigns. Your refusal to break under pressure that would have destroyed weaker people became the strength that saved others from facing similar attacks. The detective conducting this investigation received confirmation that searches of your family members' properties have recovered physical evidence that will make their denials impossible. Documents outlining systematic plans to discredit multiple family members, financial records proving payments to networks of false witnesses across multiple states, photographs and recordings that prove participation in criminal conspiracies spanning decades. Methodical documentation of criminal activities reveals minds that treated family destruction like scientific research. Handwritten journals analyzing which psychological manipulation techniques produced optimal emotional breakdown results. Organizational systems that archive decades of systematic abuse with the same precision used for legitimate business operations. Maps were discovered showing the locations of surveillance equipment installed in properties where targeted family members lived or worked. Floor plans with camera positions marked, schedules documenting when surveillance equipment was installed and removed. Technical specifications for recording devices that prove the scope of illegal monitoring that violated privacy rights of multiple family members across multiple locations. But perhaps most disturbing are the trophy collections, physical mementos kept from each successful character assassination campaign. Items stolen from victims' homes during surveillance installations. Copies of legal documents that stripped victims of their rights. Photographs of family members during moments of emotional breakdown caused by systematic psychological manipulation. The evidence room now contains boxes of materials that document decades of criminal activity against multiple generations of your family. Birth certificates that were altered to support false narratives about family relationships. Educational transcripts that were modified to make victims appear less capable than they actually were. Medical records that were fabricated or altered to support claims about mental incompetence. Your family members' organizational skills, which enabled them to coordinate such elaborate conspiracies, also ensured they created perfect documentation of their own criminal activities. Every crime was planned, executed, and archived with meticulous attention to detail that now provides prosecutors with overwhelming evidence of systematic criminal enterprise. Your family member is about to be arrested, not just for the crimes committed against you, but for similar crimes committed against previous generations of your family. The pattern of character assassination and inheritance theft extends back further than anyone imagined, creating legal liability that will ensure they spend the rest of their life in prison and financial liability that will restore wealth to victims across multiple generations. The confession is complete. The evidence is overwhelming. The arrests are happening simultaneously across multiple jurisdictions as we speak. Your vindication approaches not as personal victory, but as cosmic justice that protects others from experiencing what was done to you. The same mouth that spoke lies against you is now publicly confessing their deception on recorded statements that will be played in courtrooms across the country. The same hands that signed false documents are now signing admissions that expose the entire criminal network. The same systems that were used to attack you have become instruments of your complete restoration and their total destruction. This is your vindication, chosen one. This is why you were selected to endure what would have destroyed others. This is why your survival matters beyond personal victory. Justice delayed becomes justice amplified, and your patient endurance transforms into their permanent consequences that redefine the meaning of accountability. Your story becomes their ending, and your restoration becomes their destruction, perfectly balanced by divine mathematics that never fails to settle accounts completely.